Right. Sorry about that. We had a technical glitch go down. We're just going to pick up where we left off.
Yeah.
We were talking about Badlands.
It's called part 2. Pretend it's
just pretend it was all.
So we were talking about this. I don't know if we can jump back. Greg was talking about.
Yeah, I was thinking Red Dragon Cartel when you went.
I've heard of that, but honestly, I'm not.
It's not as good as that.
I said before there's a follow-up to this album that I don't think it doesn't hit like this one. Lee did time with Ozzy on Bark at the Moon,
and
was he still there for
Ultimate
Sin? Just a guitar player. He had technical chops, but he was also just played from his heart. Solo, played to the soulful. He played to the song, but he could play. He could shred.
Some of those riffs and stuff were real good.
And when you come into a band like that after Randy Rhoads, you got big shoes to fill.
Because they split. Badlands split even before Gillan had some of his health issues, right?
Yeah, but I kind of feel like, I don't know if that
Voodoo Highway was their second record.
Their second one, yeah. I don't know if that health stuff is what turned this band off, what caused them to move on from it. Some of that related to that, I don't want to get into it, but that has to do with why you can't get your hands on this anymore. Some legal issues.
There's some
it kicks off with the song called High Wire. Yeah, he hurt some people. Kicks off with High Wire.
Dreams in the Dark.
And then Dancing on the Edge. That song rips.
The first song on the second side is
Hard Driver.
Yeah, there's a couple. Winter's Call.
So it's got that kind of sort of return to Led Zeppelin kind of stomp to it.
This record
just
is so
kick-ass
good.
hard rock. It's got a metal edge, but it's not. It's really just a hard rock record. Ray Gillan
in the wild.
This guy over here, Ray Gillan, the singer, was on that level of Ian Gillan of Deep Purple and other singers like that. Just powerful voice. Dude just had pipes. And
I can't think of that dude's
Eric
name.
Singer.
On drums.
Eric Singer, who
was a no joke
has done a lot of time with Kiss.
Yeah, that was a man.
So
that record is so.
Even though
good.
they had the follow up, it still kind of feels like they dropped this. This should have been huge.
Yeah. I didn't think that record kind of hit, and we were all waiting. For them to just be mad. It never happened, man. Now with Gillan being gone and that record is so.
So that pick's kind of about the band and Jakey Lee himself.
Yeah, and even Red Dragon Cartel, I'm just like, it's just I just don't find any interest in it.
So
it's not, that is hard rock that you can kind of feel like you're like it kind of.
Oh yeah,
you're like all right, I see where the mood you're trying to establish. I'm in it. I'm down with it.
Yeah, almost similar to kind of like the best hard rock and stuff. A Whitesnake, but maybe a little more
because he could
a little more soulful.
Can sing. You're getting the vocal dynamics and the guitar play in the same. Yeah, that was super good.
So anyway, that was my number.
That's number 3, yeah, because this is my number 2.
Got to be number 3, yeah.
So, like I said, 93 is a weird time. Where are you gonna be? What are you gonna do? Are you still trying to tease your hair? Are you trying to be, grungy? Are you trying to be industrial? Somewhere in the mix. My Sister's Mean put out an album called Wallflower.
I don't know of them at all.
This record is great. It's heavy. It's hard rock. It's everything you want it to be. It's kind of grungy. It's kind of industrially, kind of.
Would it be kind of like similar to like Filter or something like that? Or?
Better than Filter.
Yeah,
better than Filter. It came out in '93. They're a Seattle band, so they got lost in the shuffle of all those Seattle bands. They put out 2 records, kind of bang bang, and then broke up in '94. They toured with the likes of Pantera, King's X, White Zombie.
Damn.
They had label issues and just kind of overall bad luck, and then they split off into the 4 winds, never to be heard from again. But that record is seriously a good listen.
You have so much in your arsenal that I should listen to.
I'm still like thinking of like
I'm off of my own weird trip, and you're always talking about shit, and I'm like, I bet that's really good. I like your taste. I don't know what my problem is.
Yeah, like your fringe is really fringe, and my fringe is just still kind of periphery to the stuff I kind of listen to anyway.
Yeah, but what I like, we're getting kind of personal now, but what I like is that some of the stuff you get really deep into, it's like it's your own kind of nerddom.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like,
definitely
to some people, maybe it's not fringe, but maybe to me, it's fringe. Because I'm like, I don't know what draws you into that.
You bring out
love it.
The friggin' gore, and I'm like, dude, how are we on the same wavelength?
Yeah, that was dope, dude.
Really obscure stuff that nobody other than the 2 of us probably know who the hell it is.
Man. You made that sound good, and the bands that they toured with obviously meant that they were kind of on the cusp.
Yeah, it was like that first track they released, Inside of Me, has got this like chugging kind of riff, not quite Helmet chugging, but like more oomph to it. You know how Helmet sounds kind of thin a little bit, where this is like heavy, like it sounds like a locomotive coming at you.
You have to play Helmet through an auditorium PA system or a club PA system to really get the benefit of it. That's something that always kind of bugged me about Helmet. They're fun.
Yeah, I don't dislike them, but their sound is very thin. It
shouldn't have been, though.
Yeah,
that was the problem.
Good old Page Hamilton and his pink guitar.
Yeah, they were on to something.
Yeah,
I have the first two Helmet records in my collection, but you only need 15 minutes of Helmet, and you're like, okay, I got my fix.
I don't need to listen to Helmet other than the big songs, and I can be like, I could probably get rid of that out of my.
Do.
Yeah, you're like, okay, and then it's over, and you're like, okay, I don't need to hear that again for a year.
Yeah, so they were more staccato, chunky.
Yeah, this one is just a more the bottom end is heavier. It's all around heavier.
That's cool, man. God, really, I just need to hang out with you and let you play shit you love for me.
You can do it.
Okay. I'm excited about this next one. It's going to come in at number 2 because the number 1 is just super huge for me. But this one is the first artist that came to mind when we settled on this topic. We talked about bands that could have or should have been a lot bigger, just didn't quite get enough exposure, or they threw in the towel, or they dissolved for whatever reason before they could really take off. Whatever it is, Drain.
I can't believe
STH.
I have both their first 2 records.
Yes.
It did cross my mind.
Nice.
Because what did they not have? Seemingly they had all females. They played heavy music. It was super catchy and heavy at the same time.
They're 4 Scandinavian or
they
Swedish,
should have been huge.
Swedish women who were beautiful, but they had the substance. They had the musical. They could fucking play. And it was a unique sound. I would describe them most simply as Alice in Chains meets Black Sabbath, done by women. they wrote killer hooks, catchy hooks, but with killer heavy riffs.
Those first 2 records are super good.
Well, you're saying first 2 records. I don't know what they did after that.
I don't know if they did anything after the first 2 records, but those 2, I have 2 of their records.
I wish I could show the other one too. This is the second
one.
Over
in my. It's right over. Yeah, their first one.
This is Freaks of Nature. The other one is Something to Shame.
Yeah, I can't recall it, but I have it. It's really good.
This one is slightly more industrial edge to the heavy rock. The other one's more kind of Alice in Chains grungy. The lead singer of this band was or is married to Tony Iommi.
Stop it.
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah. And so I discovered him right before Ozfest in 1999. And one of the reasons I was excited to go to that Ozfest, they were the opening band on the side stage, and they kicked ass. They were so damn good. And I just think for the quality of the musicianship, the great heavy riffage, and the hooks, these guys should have been big.
They should have been big.
And
they
I wish they would have continued on.
They had the look. They had the sound.
Another reason that this jumped out right away for this topic was I've had them in the store many times where I've put stickers with a note saying, if you like Alice in Chains, if you like Black Sabbath, if you like kick-ass, heavy rock, this kind of grunge adjacent, metally, you would love this. And I could rarely get anybody to go, oh, I should check that out. There is one dude I've talked to on a few occasions who was grateful that I turned him on to this. So he digs these guys, but I mean, this isn't even on it's probably on a subsidiary of a major label. It's on the Enclave.
I mean, talk about a band that hits this on all marks.
It's just really satisfying. The songs are really well written songs that you want to go back to. You don't get bored of them.
Probably the only thing they didn't have was a good name.
Yeah, Drain, STH it doesn't roll off the tongue that well. STH refers to Straight to Hell.
Yeah.
So it was Drain, Straight to Hell, but yeah, I don't know.
That's a good band. They were a good band.
I thought they were a great band. I loved the woman's voice. They were talented. And I don't want to categorize it just because they're women, but I think the point I would make is why can't there be more successful female bands that weren't predicating it upon being women?
Yeah, you were trying to be cutesy in a weird. You were in a weird time frame because what did that come out in? Early 90s, mid 90s?
No, this was actually late 90s. This their first one's probably 98, and then this one's 99, I think.
So what, you had Vixen?
Oh, in terms of kind of a template or other,
you had L7.
Well, yeah, there was Babes in Toyland, L7.
Babes in Toyland.
In the late 70s, Girl
School. If you know
School.
Anything about Babes in Toyland, everything that Courtney Love has ever done, she ripped off from Kat Belland from Babes in Toyland. Her look, her sound, everything.
God,
I love that band.
We should just have an episode on why Courtney Love sucks.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I can't stand Courtney Love. I just watched this. I watched like 20 minutes of it on YouTube. A performance, like a studio performance of Faith No More when she was their lead singer.
They were trash.
It was awful,
horrible. That was a short-lived experiment.
I'm so glad the rest of those guys got good and went on to be a good band, because at that point in time they were not a good band.
No, it was terrible. I've seen bits and pieces of that. It's horrible.
And then to have her on top of it was like
terrible
icing on a shit sandwich.
Was it Chuck Biscuits or
whatever?
Yeah,
it was before Chuck Mosley.
Chuck Mosley.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, thank God Chuck Mosley came along and bailed them out of whatever drain they were.
Sorry to be mean, but can't stand Courtney Love. Anyway.
She's a fucking terrible human being.
I didn't want to make like a political statement, but I really appreciate it when women in music, particularly in rock and roll, don't give a shit about being trying to compensate in some way to keep up with the guys or some shit. Because I don't think they need to. If you're good, you're good.
Well, it's
rarer to have great female rock bands like that. I wish it wasn't.
You're put in some way, shape, or form. A lot of this stuff is still run by men. Yeah. So when you get attractive females, what do you want to do? You want to put them in skimpy clothes, and you want to push that forward. And you look at a band like Butcher Babies, and that's exactly what they are.
Yeah.
Two hot females, and people love them. And you're like, this band is fucking trash. It is trash. Garbage songs. They can't play for shit. They're terrible. But the two chicks got huge tits, and the guys dig it.
Yeah.
And then good bands fall by the wayside. And you get bands like Nervosa or Crypta, amazing fucking thrash, hybrid thrash, death. And we're talking about in this moment, give me a break. That band is garbage. Yeah. Like, there's not one thing about that band that's even worth listening to.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully my point came through. I just like when it's organic and it's real, and
my number one is going back to the 90s. I don't really know that if you can call this a super group or not. You only got really two famous people, and it really be called a super group. But one of those famous people were Fred Coury, who played, I think, bass or drums in Cinderella.
Oh, yeah.
And Stephen Pearcy from Rat formed. This
I know what Arcade is. Yes.
This is a great record.
He was the bassist in
either bassist, I can't remember which one.
He's not the drummer. I know which guy he is.
Then he's definitely bass. Yeah. And I don't think it hit because I think in 1993 people really didn't want something new from some of these bands they were really with. They wanted a new Rat record, or they wanted a new Cinderella record. Things weren't really moving the needle. So they put this, it's just a straightforward, great, heavy hard rock
I actually do know that album, and I had forgotten about it. Got it from a friend who is a hard hair metaler. Just love all that shit.
Rat might be one of my favorite Sunset Strip bands. So anything with Stephen Pearcy in it, I was going to listen to it, and I just these songs are so good they could have been a Rat record.
Yeah.
It really could have. They disbanded in '94. They had two studio records, the second one being heavier than this one, and they were going to reform and reunite, and then Stephen Pearcy went back to the reformed Rat before that all imploded into whatever mess we have now with, I think, Warren D. Martinez is gone. A lot of these bands that get back together and play, you can do what you want. It's your legacy. They're your songs. If you want to go out and play them, that's great. But part of me doesn't really care if you're not moving it forward enough to create new music, then what's the point? You're not going to see a new Motley Crue record. You're not going to see a new Rat record. You're not going to see, like, if I get a new album, do I really want to see Tour the Hits that I've already seen 15 times?
Yeah, that's kind of a tough one. I do see the value in some of those bands if they can continue to put on good shows. There's clearly people who want to go and experience that, be entertained by it. Maybe I would draw the line for bands like that at the point where they're, maybe not vital enough to be fun to look at and watch on stage or something.
I mean, Dawkins still tours sometimes.
Yes,
the nostalgia wave is very popular.
Trip for that.
They toured Rocklahoma, and they're all there together. It's like the 80s just
and think of how many of those bands don't even need to consider making a new record.
Ever.
All they got to do is just go out and play.
They call a handful of 25 tracks from however many albums they got, and they could play a whole set.
They can play the nostalgia cruise. They can go out and do that shit. Yeah,
do I really see them put in rounds?
Well, I didn't want to see.
You know,
like, I didn't Piercy's Rat when they came to Eureka like 15 years ago.
There was nobody in it but him, right?
Pretty much it. Yeah, I think so.
Like that was before they even really got back together. When they're like when I think the only person that really wasn't in the band, obviously Rob Crosby, who's passed, but they got Carlos Casavo. And then they had a different drummer because Blotzer wasn't in the fold.
Yeah.
But then that kind of just blew up. I have no idea what Warren DeMartini's doing, but that's another reason why I love that band so much. That guy is phenomenal.
Yeah, the whole thing with Robin Crosby was pretty sad, though, because he felt overshadowed by DeMartini when Robin Crosby was a founding member. And in the years that they weren't as popular, he got really depressed.
And how close is that to the whole Def Leppard? You know, Steve Clark, another guy who helped found that band, and then felt he was being overshadowed by Phil.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yep.
They got problems in both drinking.
Sometimes that shit happens. Sometimes you gotta just
like, dude, you're still in it, dude. You're still
be happy there. You know, making some money, contributing.
It's able to get to that point, but then you get to that point, you're playing rhythm. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
probably just F to his head.
Yeah,
there it is. My number one. Go pick it up.
Your number one
you will not. You will love it,
because that really is. Who knows about that?
Yeah, I don't. You don't hear them too often, but man, you really should. They were really good.
I don't know if this will be an exciting note to go out on, but this one had to be my number one because this is a lifelong love for me. This record came when I was 3 years old, and my mother was into it right away. Mainly because there's a lot of flute featured on this album. It's what you call kind of a fusion jazz record, sort of in the vein of Weather Report, Return to Forever, mid 70s jazz fusion stuff. And I have 4 copies of this because I love it so much that anytime I find a copy, I have to have it because it's not a very common record. And the fact that I have found 4 copies of it just in the wild.
Same track listing on all 4, like the track listing doesn't subtly change. Because I have 2 Peter Gabriel records that are exactly the same, but the track listing is slightly different on each one.
As far as I know, this record had 1 printing. And anyway, it's by this artist named Noel Pointer. He was a violinist who spent electric violin during that era of fusion jazz. And he could have, in terms of his technical musical abilities, been as big as somebody like Jean-Luc Ponty, who played with Mahavishnu Orchestra and played with Frank Zappa, and is probably the most known electric violinist. This guy had so much feeling. His melodic, emotional evocations on this record have moved me almost my whole life. The album is titled Fantasia.
Apparently, you're never going to find it because you bought them all.
I know.
If you go into the shop and make him like burn you a copy
of this record in my shop because I took it.
Because you took it.
This is on Blue Note, but it's produced by Dave Grusin, or I believe he produced it. He produced it, but he also performs on it. And Dave Grusin also had his own label called GRP Records.
Well, Blue Note was no slouch of a label. Like if you were hitting on that label, you were doing something.
And this record has major players on it. It's got Dave Grusin, who's pretty notable if you're into jazz. especially in the 70s. Dave Grusin did a lot of film score stuff, composer, piano player, whose granddaughter is a very sweet woman who lives in Eureka.
Really?
Yes. She's a local artist.
Going full circle, Holmes.
People that play on this record, Earl Klug was a big-time jazz guitarist of that era. My all-time favorite studio drummer, Steve Gadd, who's played on 1,000 albums. And then another notable name, which is kind of interesting, but the bassist on this is Will Lee, who was the longtime bassist in the Dave Letterman band.
Yeah, I was like, that name sounds hella familiar.
And so the other thing, does a beautiful Song of the City by Stevie Wonder. I've known this record my whole life, and he made 3 records as far as I know. Stopped making records at some point in the 80s, and he continued on. You try to look him up on YouTube, it's hard to find much footage of him. And he died young. I think he died by the early 90s, and I'm not sure why. It's just in the vein of music he was playing. He should have been as big as those artists, and he just didn't achieve that. He could have been up there with the Joe Zawinul's and Chick Corea's and stuff.
That's a hard genre to break big in too, because it's so niche.
Yeah, and then I guess by the 80s, that stuff was getting pretty cheesy, and not very many people were listening to it. It's kind of turning into smooth jazz.
Yeah, because if you're listening to jazz, normally you're picking up, Miles Davis, or you're picking up Coltrane.
Yeah,
picking up,
indeed,
those guys. Those
and get to rise to a bigger level of notoriety. But here's the crown jewel in my collection of 4 identical copies of this record. Is this one is actually signed, because whoever I got this from met him when they got their record, and he wrote a note to them. And so it's significant to me that an artist I've loved my whole life, this just came into my hands in somebody's collection that oh my God, I actually get to have a signed copy.
That's almost as good as the story of the Madonna single that came in.
Oh yeah,
that was owned by.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe I should not say her name.
Yeah, but we'll keep her a sweet girl that we went to grade school with. This anyway, neither were her brother, but it's just interesting that family's been so impactful on my entire life, and that
and then a 45 single of Madonna's True Blue.
The next time I see her, I'm gonna be like, "Oh, what's up, dude? Like, you had to get rid of the Madonna, or what?"
She and I were never close, but I instantly recognized her name written on the 45 single, and part of the reason that had a significant connection to me was because she had 1 or 2 of the few parties that I went to in around 7th grade that were the kind of spin the bottle,
Sabres royalty,
co-ed kissing parties, and I was super shy and goony back then. But so I had this feeling like that 45 single probably got played at those parties that we were at. Yeah, because I think she had parents that were kind of cool with like letting the kids hang out in the family room or something and do whatever.
It's right over. That's not too far from my homestead growing up. You just go down the hill and up and around, and there I am.
Oh yeah.
So while you're out researching all these bands and coming up with things you need to listen to, what else do you need to listen to? You need to go out and get a copy of the Four Horsemen. I got this copy from this guy right here. I get a lot of crazy stuff. Sometimes he'll hold like the Badlands he just bought for me, but this one I found in the wild and I loved it.
Yeah, I need to get another list from you.
Sacred Reich finally has re-released some of their unbelievably hard to find records. This is The American Way. This is a brilliant record. This is a brilliant band. You really need to listen to these guys. The song The American Way was written in the late 80s, early 90s. It's still just as relevant today as it was back in the day.
That's one of your all-time favorite bands.
I love them so much. As you can see, I work at a cannabis dispensary. I have the Cannabis Corpse, but it goes further. Cannabis Corpse is by Cannibal Corpse, the band they originally decided to parody or whatever. They're just now just better. They're more interesting.
Wow.
They play better. Cannibal Corpse is just boring now. I stopped listening to that band decades ago. But this band, hilarious, unbelievable death metal chops. They play great. The riffs are great. They basically sing death metal about weed, and it's
so
amazing.
There's some humor in it, but it doesn't overshadow the quality of the music.
The other one I was supposed to have that you're not seeing now is called Electric Peace. It is the Cult record that it's the way Electric was going to sound before Rick Rubin got their hands on it. If you want to listen to some, wow, it sounded a lot like Love than it did Electric, and it is.
Yeah.
And then, because I haven't showed you guys a book in a while, and I'm a book fiend, if you in any way, shape, or form love the Beastie Boys, this is a must-own. This is an amazingly crafted, written book. There's stories. There's pictures you're never going to see anywhere else that, of course, I'm not. There's some drawings. There's just... If you're into the Beastie Boys, go grab this.
All of the...
Amazing.
All of the minutia, all of the minute details of things that they went through in their life is all very compelling to read, as far as I understand. I'm not the big reader.
This is a tome that you must have if you're into that band. I mean,
I love the Beastie Boys. I'm going to admit that I probably will never read that book because I have ADD with books.
Right, so basically I'm just going to record it on tape and then just send it to you.
Dude, that would be awesome. I would love...
Chapter How We Got Started. We were young, precocious youth, and
dude, I would listen to that to the bitter end, dude. If you transcribe,
see, I'll do it.
If I had money, I would just pay you to transcribe books. I think.
If you had money, that's all I do with my life is read books for you. I got another bag of stuff for you.
I saw that.
So, if you didn't know, I'm thinning out my entire DVD and Blu-ray collection, probably until I've only got my horror collection left, and maybe some
sad shelves over there.
And then it's all gonna be music. I'm gonna get all the thrash stuff that's hard to find. I'm gonna get all the. I think I just do more with music and.
Yeah.
And if you guys like this, there's probably another volume, at least one more volume, because there's stuff in my head that I'm thinking about that I can't.
Yeah.
So if you figure out a way to splice these two episodes together, we appreciate the fact that you watch. Please tell your friends. Please like and subscribe. We're trying to get those numbers up. Get in the comment section. Tell us if we're wrong, if we're right. Tell us what your picks are.
Yeah.
And then hopefully Wednesday,
tell me if you think I should try to grow a beard like Greg.
Everyone should grow a beard like me, even if you're a female, because why not? They're awesome. It actually sucks every time I eat something with syrup or it gets all over me. I can't.
I had a beard once and it looked its best when it was grown out.
Before it gets this weird middle ground that looks terrible.
No, my problem was when I tried to trim it to keep it at a certain. It got choppy.
You gotta have the old man beard, man. You gotta have it.
Well,
do we want to keep our cards close to our vest for Wednesday?
Yeah, I don't think we fully decided on that.
All right,
but we have to decide soon.
We're leaning into a poll topic, but we haven't decided yet, so we'll leave that until the next time. Thank you for hanging out with our glitchy internet issues. We hope you love this episode. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff so we can keep doing it. Even if you don't, we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
We have fun no matter what.
Fuck Amazon. Long live independent music stores. Long live physical media. Until next time, my friends. Thank you so much.